Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Classic Gaming Brothers. I'm Seth.
And I'm Zach.
And we are the Classic Gaming Brothers.
We are the Classic Gaming Brothers.
That's right.
That's right.
And, well, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
It's 2025.
It is?
It is, which means in November of this year, we will have been recording episodes for 6 years?
I don't know, man.
We started in 2019, and now it's 2025.
Yeah, 6 years.
And if you've been listening since episode 1, I'm sorry.
Why are you sorry?
Because we've wasted a lot of their hours. Or maybe we've accompanied them, so maybe you should thank me.
Thank you.
Well, thank us.
I'll thank me.
Yeah, I'll thank me. And while we're saying thank yous, a big thank you to Ryan for coming on to the show last Sunday. So anyway, we've got an interesting episode to talk about for today. It's going to be our 2024 episode, our New Year's episode. Sometimes we do top 10s. Sometimes it's top retro games or top games that are going to be coming out. So we're still going to be doing a top 10 games that we're excited about coming out in 2025. We did do some research and made sure that the games are most likely going to come out in 2025. And then we do have some other, some resolutions, and we're just going to talk a little bit to this episode. So it's a little more free form than our usual cover of specific topic. This topic is 2024. A year in review, as it were.
Yeah, absolutely. I think 2024 was a fun year for us all. So yeah, this is going to be just a year in review and talking about the games that we played, and in a large part thanks to Steam Replay, which helps us break down this analytic data.
Yes, thank you, Steam.
So Seth, why don't you tell me what you've recently been playing that's not part of this whole 2024 breakdown?
Oh, sure. So during the Steam Winter Sale, which is now sadly over, I purchased Crime Scene Cleaner, which is an amazing game. I should recommend everyone to play it. I beat it, I think, in 24 hours. Is great. Not all in one 24-hour setting, but it's a good idea for an extra life stream. We could just play Crime Scene Cleaner the entire time. By the time it's over, we're done. But they were selling some other games that were also done by the Playway South Asia group, including Thief Simulator and Contraband Police. I picked up Thief Simulator when I picked up Crime Scene Cleaner originally because it was a discount, but then I was like, man, I really want to play Contraband Police. So then I went and picked that game up as well, which I also got a discount because I owned Crime Scene Cleaner. So Contraband Police was developed by Crazy Rocks, and it was published by Playway South Asia. And in the game, you take over the duties of a border guard inspector, kind of like in Papers, Please, where you work for a communist country in the 80s. Well, Papers, Please may be a little bit earlier in time, but it's for sure Contraband Police definitely takes place in the 80s. And there's people that are trying to smuggle, there's corruption that goes on, and people may try to either forge documents, have incorrect documents, or try to bribe you. And you have to do all of the things and either earn the respect of the people that you work for or make enough money on the side that it doesn't matter. So what's cool is it's like playing Papers, Please, except it was a first-person game, and you walk around your little patrol base and you wave the cars in and then you search them, or you take their documents and you make sure their documents legit. If everything's legit and is fine, you let them go free. If it's not, then you can either tell them that they're rejected or you can arrest them. And sometimes if they are going to be arrested, sometimes they just drive away and you have to chase them. The game is not restricted to just being at the border, like the patrol headquarters, as it were. It's not just restricted to you're playing at the gate. There's an entire map that you can just drive around, and you can in fact just not take people in from the patrol gate, and you can just leave and just go do errands and then come back. So you have to get tools, and certain tools allow you to open up certain items. So I was presented with a problem because my axe broke, and I had a car that had smuggled items in the fuel tank that you needed to use an axe to break to get open, and I had no working axe. So I technically, if he had all the right paperwork, I would technically have to let him in. But if I had an axe, I can find his smuggled goods and then arrest him. You earn money every day, and then you can upgrade your base. You can hire people to work the place with you. You can in fact upgrade the people so that they're promoted and have better equipment, and it's great. You eventually take the smuggled products and you sell them to the state, and the state pays you money for this, and they do whatever the state does with them. So that's Contraband Police. Just a really fun kind of doofy game that's really kind of fun, a little bit serious. The game's, it's all in Russian, I think. There's a translation. It's all in like subtitles. So they're all speaking some Russian or Russian-like language. But yeah, so it's a fun game. I definitely recommend it. Yeah, so Contraband Police.
Contraband Police. All right.
Zach.
Yes, Seth.
What have you recently been playing?
Recently, I've been playing Marvel's Spider-Man 2, released in 2023 by Insomniac Games and Sony Interactive for the PS5. And I've been playing it on my new PS5 that I got for Christmas from my partner, which was a nice gift. The game, Marvel Spider-Man 2, is a sequel to Marvel Spider-Man, which came out back in 2018. It's also a follow-up to Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, which came out in 2020. In Marvel Spider-Man 2, you play as either Peter Parker or Miles Morales. You can swap between them. And they both are in the role of Spider-Man. In the game, Peter is navigating life without a job and also being Spider-Man. He's also dealing with the loss of Aunt May. And Miles is navigating life as a senior in high school and also life as Spider-Man. The plot follows up on the events that occurred in Spider-Man and in Miles Morales. So if you haven't played Spider-Man or Miles Morales, you probably want to play those before you play Spider-Man 2. And it's pretty much already established, like there's no origin story for Miles in this game. Miles is already a Spider-Man. People know who he is. Not like his identity, but they know that he is Spider-Man. And the kind of relationship between him and Peter is that Peter is kind of his tutor. They team up on missions, but Peter is also kind of teaching him how to be a hero. The plot of the game, though, involves a mysterious hunter who arrives in the city, and the hunter is looking for various villains as part of a big game hunt that he's doing. So he's hunting down people like Mr. Negative, Scorpion, and Shocker, and he's hunting them for sport. And this hunter happens to be a big Russian guy who wears furs, because this hunter is Kraven the Hunter.
Ooh, Kraven's Russian?
Yeah, he's like from Russia, I think. His real name is Sergei Nikhailovich Kravenov.
Perfect.
Yeah. So Kraven the Hunter is after other villains because he is a big game hunter and he wants to be challenged. And you have to deal with him. You also have to deal with the fact that Peter's friend Harry Osborn is back after recovering from a mysterious illness. And part of Harry's treatment is that he has a black exosuit that is made of a mysterious substance that makes him really grumpy sometimes. So it kind of is both a Kraven the Hunter storyline and a Venom story. But so far I've been really enjoying it. It has a lot of fun elements that are found in both the first and the Miles Morales game, though now it's combined. So you not only get all of Peter's abilities that you would have had in the first game, you also get all of Miles's abilities. And Miles has kind of a different play style in that he is a bit faster than Peter. He can also cloak. He has like a ability that allows him to go invisible, and he also has an electrical attack that he can do. So Miles is a different play style than Peter, and you have different missions that you have to do as both of them. Like Peter will have missions that are more relevant to his life, while Miles will have missions that are more relevant to his life. And it's kind of a fun way to interact with these two characters. One of my favorite elements is that if you just happen to be in the same part of the city as Peter or as Miles, then they will interact with each other during a mission. For example, I was responding to a crime report. You get these random crime reports that occur as you're swinging through New York, and it's like, oh, there's a break-in in progress. Oh, there's a armed robbery occurring. Oh, there's an assault in progress. And you go to these crime reports and you just start beating up criminals. And while I was doing it, the other Spider-Man, I think I was playing as Peter, Miles just like swung in and just started finishing off other bad guys around me. And then we did like a finisher together, and then we turned around and high-fived, and he was like, all right, gotta go, and he just swings off. So
that's pretty funny.
Yeah, so you have like stuff like that will happen throughout the game. The game has tons of references to not only the other games, but also the books and the movies, and it's just overall a fun time. One thing I really like, though, is in this new game, you have more to explore. So in Spider-Man and in Miles Morales, the 2018 and 2020 games, you really mostly had Manhattan and a little bit of like Upper Manhattan to explore. In this game, you now can explore Queens and Brooklyn, so you get a bit more of New York. It's a nice game. I like it, and overall, good time.
Fun.
And it's coming to PC soon, like within the next month or so, I think.
Oh, yeah. I think it is. I think you're correct. Let's talk about 2024 in review. So Zach and I both looked back at our Steam replay. I did see an interesting fact in my Steam replay. Maybe Zach, maybe you saw some interesting facts within yours. But my games are down from 2022. Which makes a lot of sense because I got the original Steam Deck in 2022 and I used it a lot when it came out. And now I'm on my second Steam Deck and I still use it pretty frequently, but I feel like it's now just not new and shiny anymore. So like I'm not like using it in every moment that I can possibly be using it.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But every year, even 2022, I always play about 40 to 46 brand new games year over year.
Okay.
Which is almost about half of the collection of games that I play in any given year. In fact, the last 2 years, I've played more new games than I did play games that I previously owned in the previous year. So I have a game buying problem, I guess, because these are not new games like new out games, they're just new to me games. But yeah, so I have a game collection problem. I also found it interesting earlier in the year, February, March, I was really into Factorio, and that got me thinking that the expansion Space Age, which was released just in October of 2024, that maybe I should grab the expansion and get back into it, as it seems to be like an early of the year type of game for me, where Stardew Valley was my back half of the year, November and December specifically. Now, what's interesting is that my stint with Crime Scene Cleaner happened before and after the replay was evaluated. There's a cutoff time that your replay stops in December, and it's like mid-December when it stops it off. And that's anything post their release goes into your next year's replay. So there, within that week, before even the first happened, I started and beat Crime Scene Cleaner, which I imagine would have taken a significant amount of my playtime away, or at least it would have shown up on my Steam replay as like, wow, you played a lot of this game, you must like it. And then I got, during the November, December, I was really into Stardew Valley. I played through an entire year of Stardew Valley. I was wrapping into the second year, and then I started to take a break, and I started watching a little bit medieval history YouTube videos, which then led me to want to play Kingdom Come Deliverance. So then I stopped playing Stardew Valley and started playing Kingdom Come Deliverance. I think is another problem that I have is that I play these games that really require a lot of time, and I don't play a lot of them. Like, I don't play a lot of the time that's required for these games. So
yeah.
like, and then it will be a while before I loop back to Kingdom Come Deliverance. I won't know anything that's going on again, and I'll have to restart. So hopefully I'll try to be better with that in 2025. Other games that hit my Steam replay was Fantasy Grounds VTT, which isn't really fair since it's a tabletop game that we primarily play through it, and it's just a facilitation software, really, and we use it a lot, so it naturally will spike. Crusader Kings 3 also showed up in my Steam replay as one of my top games, which is to be expected since I usually boot that game up when I'm deciding what to play next. I'll be like, wow, I think I'm done playing Crime Scene Cleaner. What should I play? Crusader Kings 3. That's the answer. I did recently actually just start playing it again. I started a no mod game where I started as the Duke of Wales. He's a Duke in Wales. He's not the Duke of Wales. He's a Duke in Wales, and no cheat, and got hit with the plague within the, not the plague, a plague. Got hit with a plague within the first year. It's kind of been a rough start, but we'll see how long he lasts.
Sounds it.
Yeah, I'm just really trying to like keep myself from just invading the other Duke of Wales so that I could become the King of Wales, but
yeah,
we'll see what happens. And then finally, one of the other games, the last game that showed up in my Steam replay was actually brought out a big thought for myself, and that was the Agatha Christie Murder on the Orient Express, which I'm actually kind of embarrassed about because I started playing this game, stopped playing it, then I started it again and said, man, I'm really going to try and beat this game, and I am on the last level. Like, I'm literally like on the last like chapter of the game. All I have to do is go through and beat this last chapter, and I will beat the game. And I haven't done it. So it just kind of gets me to think about, like, are there games that I really want to try and beat in 25, and why haven't I gotten yet? So I'm gonna do a little New Year's resolution section for me, and then Zach will talk about his Steam replay and his New Year's resolution. So Agatha Christie Murder on the Orient Express, it's a fun and unique take on a classic Hercule Poirot video game with a twist that was not in the original book or movie. And that studio made a pretty good game, is now working on Agatha Christie Death on the Nile, which is going to be a follow-up of Murder on the Orient Express, as Death on the Nile is vaguely, and also is going to have another twist on the classic story / movie, which is really exciting and is going to be a game that I'm going to be interested in getting, but I really feel like I need to beat Murder on the Orient Express before I can actually play Death on the Nile, so I could pick it up in 2025 with a clear conscience. So definitely Murder on the Orient Express is one of my games that I really want to try and beat in 25. We'll find out at the end of the year or the beginning of next year if I did, or maybe sometime during the year. The other games that I really want to try and beat in 25 or make significant progress, I think for one of them, Black Sad is an adventure game where you play as Detective John Black Sad, and you have to undercover a mystery that's happening in New York, and everyone is also an animal. So John Black Sad is a black cat. I've played about 9 hours of the game, but I've honestly forgotten what was going on in that game. Something either happened or I stopped playing it or I messed something up in the game. But it's on my list of games to get playing again. I've been thinking about it a lot lately. I tried getting it to run on the Steam Deck, but it has compatibility issues with the Steam Deck. So then I'm like, all right, then I'll probably try to stream it, or maybe I'll just try and play it in some downtime on my computer. But I really want to try and get into Black Sad as well, to just kind of be in 2025, as well as read the comics that I own of Black Sad. Like, I want to finish reading those. So that's Black Sad's on my top of my 2025 list, as well as The Sinking City. So The Sinking City is a 1920s Lovecraftian mystery set on the East Coast, probably Massachusetts, because that's where all Lovecraft happens. It doesn't really specifically say where. And you play as a private investigator, and apparently I just can't beat mystery games, or at least these are the games that I'm resolved to beat are all mystery games. And you have to figure out what's corrupting the minds of everyone. Started this game a few times as well. Right when it came out, I played it not through Epic, and then I played it when it came to Steam, and I've just started playing it again, and the last time I played it, I really tried to play more than 10 minutes, which is where all my playtime was with earlier with the story. And I was playing it and I was like, oh, this game is actually really good, because it has some really cool mechanics where you get to use powers to kind of solve mysteries, and I'm just really enjoying the mechanics, enjoying the Lovecraft story with it as well. I think it's fun that you can ask everybody what's wrong with them when they look really weird, because they're Lovecraft monsters, or at least they're people that are impacted by the Lovecraft monster. So they'll be the Gillmen, or people who look like monkeys, and you could just be why do you look this way? Your PI also is just always very tired and beat up looking. So I stopped playing it for some reason, and I'm looking to get back into it and beat it, or at least this is the game that I don't know if I can beat in 25, because I don't actually honestly don't know how long it is, but I do want to make significant headway with it. I think though my order of games that I need to beat: Murder on Orient Express, Black Sad, Sinking City. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, makes sense. So looking back at my Steam replay, a majority of my time in 2024 was spent playing Helldivers 2, which makes a lot of sense. That was a really good game, and I mostly play games when I play games with my friends. If anything, 2024 was not really a year for me to do single-player games. Pretty much of 2024, 26% of my playing time was spent playing Helldivers 2, with about 27 play sessions. And while that doesn't sound like a lot of play sessions, these play sessions are likely largely around 3 to 4 hours a piece, mostly probably ranging on the 3-hour mark. So we're talking about maybe over 70, 80 hours of gameplay in a year, which is a good chunk compared to other games that we go between. So we usually get into kind of moods where we play a ton of Helldivers, then we play a ton of Age of Empires, and then we play a ton of Minecraft, and that's kind of the cycle of life.
The cycle of life. Oh, so you're at the end of the cycle because you were playing Minecraft.
Yeah, we've been playing Minecraft a lot recently. But following Helldivers 2, I also played a lot of Doom Eternal. So when I got my new PC, I downloaded Doom Eternal and I played through it again. So I see this massive spike of playing Doom Eternal. And then I played played RoboCop Rogue City, which I played a lot of that. I think I played through that twice. Like the story, I played through the story once, and then I played through New Game Plus. A notable chunk of time was also playing Fallout 4. But what's really funny is I don't think I ever played any of actual Fallout 4. That's all time playing Fallout London. But when you play Fallout London, if you're launching it through Steam, it logs it as Fallout 4. So I have all this like recent time playing Fallout 4, but I haven't played any Fallout 4 recently. I've been playing Fallout London, which is also a great game that I want to get back into. Looking back at my month to month, so I did things a little differently than Seth. I actually went through my month to month from January to December of games that I played and their percentages. It's kind of an interesting spread of games, and you can kind of get a feel for the moods I was in. In January, I spent about 51% of my time playing Cyberpunk 2077. I think that was around the time I picked up the DLC. In February, I played a lot of Age of Empires 2. March was tied between Doom Eternal and Helldivers 2. That was when I picked up Helldivers 2 for the first time, and also the Dark Forces remake. April, I played more Helldivers 2 and Doom Eternal. There was also a smattering of random first-person shooter games that I played in April, which was all done for an episode that we did of our podcast, and these were the games Realms of the Haunting, Operation Body Count, and Corridor 7, which we did when we talked about our Doom clones, and I specifically went in and played those games before we did that episode. So there's like, oh, you played this for the first time, you played this for the first time, you played this for this, like in a row. May was more Helldivers 2. June was almost entirely dedicated to Little Kitty Big City.
Did you like that game?
I loved Little Kitty Big City. It's a short game that's great to play, and I highly recommend it. July, I played a bit more RoboCop Rogue City. I think that was when I did the New Game Plus playthrough. August was Fallout London. September, I got back into Helldivers 2. It played a little Doom and Doom 2, the release from Night Dive. October was Sonic X Shadow Generations, of course. In November, I randomly decided to play a ton of Sonic Mania. I think I was playing that on my Steam Deck. And in December, I played more Sonic X Shadow Generations because some DLC came out. I will say that I was surprised to see that I did play 55 games in 2024 on Steam. 22 of those were brand new games for me. I didn't really guess that I'd played a lot of new games, but I guess I was wrong, because 22 games out of 55 that's a decent, ratio right there. And Steam Replay obviously doesn't capture any non-Steam games that I played. I played games on my PS4. I also played Star Wars Outlaws, which I have through Epic, and I sunk a decent amount of time into that, and I still haven't beaten that yet. And that's one of my resolutions, is to beat Star Wars Outlaws. I did pick up the DLC, which is more Lando focused, and I'm excited for Lando. For my New Year's resolutions, like Seth, I kind of looked back at some of my older games that I haven't beaten, but I also decided I'm going to take a page from our friend Barry over at the Premium Edition Lounge and say that I'm not really going to focus on the new, but focus on the old. Look back and focus on that. For example, there's games that I either have or have been wanting to play for years that I just haven't thought to sit down and play through. Some of these being games like some of the Final Fantasy games, maybe not necessarily like 1 through 3, but I do want to at some point tackle Final Fantasy 6 or Final Fantasy 3 for the Super Nintendo, if you prefer. And I really just would love to sit down and properly play this, be it through the remake that is available that you can play on through Steam, or just through emulation. I also wanted to properly play through Shining Force. I don't think I've actually played Shining Force since I was a child, so my memories of Shining Force are mostly that I remember the music being really good, and I remember the combat being a little clunky, but that's about it. So I would like to go back and actually play through Shining Force, maybe try to beat it. And outside of retro games that I want to revisit, I still haven't beaten Baldur's Gate 3, so I'd really like to dive back into that. I think I'm actually going to restart Baldur's Gate 3 from the beginning. I was only an hour in, so it's not that much of a restart for me. I literally was just off the Leviathan. And so I think I'm going to respec my, do a reclass, rebuild my character, and just kind of actually dive into it.
You should play with Classic Dad.
I should play with Classic Dad. We
could all play together.
We could all play Baldur's Gate 3 together. Outside of that, there's also a couple other games that have just been on my back burner that I would like to finally beat. I want to get to Alan Wake 2, so to do that I have to play Alan Wake, and I have played a good chunk of Alan Wake. I played a few hours of it, but I just keep falling off of it whenever I try to replay it, and I don't know why. So I'd like to go back in and try to play through Alan Wake, and because I do really enjoy it. I also wanted to revisit, Seth was talking about the Sinking City and its kind of Lovecraft-esque elements, and that made me want to revisit the Call of Cthulhu game from 2018.
Oh, yeah.
Which is also a great game.
It is a great game. I beat that game, and The character's last name is our name.
Yes, their last name is our name, so it's fun. But that's kind of my New Year's resolutions, I think, kind of diving into, in terms of like new games I want to play. I definitely want to tackle some older games, and I also want to finish some games like Seth is doing. We're going to now jump into a familiar friend, right, Seth?
Our familiar summer friend, or I guess our non-summer friend, I guess our old friend, Byway Pass.
Break. We've kept him in the tomb.
He honestly works less than I do, and Zach can attest that I don't do much for this show. Anyway, once a year it comes around, and it is the 2025 Buy Wait Pass segment, where we'll go through and we'll talk about 10 games that are upcoming that we are excited about buying, waiting, or passing on. But since we only do it once a year, it's going to be a lot of buys, just as an FYI, because we're excited about them. Unless Zach decided that he didn't want to buy a bunch of games and just put a bunch of passes. So the first game on the list is going to be The Outer Worlds Part 2, being developed by Obsidian. It's the sequel to Outer Worlds Part 1. Well, actually, just Outer Worlds. And Outer Worlds is a sci-fi satirical first-person RPG. I'm really excited to see what they do with the sequels. I'm sure they'll enhance it from the first one. I was a big fan of the first one. I did think that the game was a bit short. However, one of the final DLCs that they released for the game, I thought was probably one of the best things that I've played, at least for the entire Outer Worlds series. It was like the detective mission. It was really good.
Oh, was that the one where you go to the planet and you have to like solve the murder?
Yes, it's so
yeah,
good.
that's a very good DLC.
It was probably it was easily the best DLC, and I felt like it was probably a little bit better than the core game. But it was really good. So if they bring that as Outer Worlds 2, not necessarily solving a murder, but like that kind of gameplay and that kind of elements to it, it's going to be great. It's going to be a runaway game. I'm really excited. I really enjoyed the trailer for Outer Worlds 2, since the Obsidian software team developed a lot of Part 2 games. They developed Knights of the Old Republic Part 2. They developed Neverwinter Nights Part 2. And they did Fallout New Vegas, which they were calling Fallout 3 Part 2. And I just thought it was fun that they were always the sequel developer. And now they're making their own sequel for their own game. And that's Outer Worlds Part 2. So I'm excited to really see them hopefully take this to form and really deliver a really cool product. That's going to be out in 25. I'm excited about it. What's fun is that I sometimes forget to keep up on video game news, and then I go back and check, and games that I've been excited about are already either released or they are coming out soon. So I'm excited for Outer Worlds Part 2.
Well, one game that I'm looking forward to, and this is a game that's been I'm looking forward to it now, because I think it was also in 2024, and we saw it at PAX East as well, so I was looking forward to it then. But that's Dune Awakening from Funcom. So this was a game we talked about when we went to PAX East 2024. They were demoing it there. It's an upcoming MMO set in the Dune universe. Play as someone who's on the planet of Arrakis, and you have to survive and work with the Fremen to survive. I'm not super into MMOs, to be honest, but I like Dune. I'll give it a shot. I did have some concerns with some reported lore changes that they are making to the game to make it work, and I wasn't a big fan of those, but I'm more interested to see what they will do versus be upset by anything I'm reading. So I'll definitely at least give it a shot, and it being an MMO, I'm assuming there's going to be like a free demo thing that you could do to play up to a certain level before you actually have to buy it, I'm hoping. So I'll give it a shot when it's available. So this is probably a wait to make sure that I don't have to pay full retail value to actually pick up the game, because again, I'm not super into MMOs.
That's fair. Maybe we'll play it together like we were playing Star Wars. Can ride it as long as I can ride a sandworm. That's all I want to do in my life.
Yeah, absolutely. I really hope you can ride a sandworm.
Become a sandworm.
I don't think they're going to adapt God Emperor. That would be amazing, though, if you become the sandworm. There's definitely like vehicle combat, because there's shots in the trailer of you flying an ornithopter around. So
neat. Kind of like PlanetSide. Oh, that's a good game too. I miss PlanetSide. Next game that I'm interested, or I would say we are both interested in coming out, is a game called Avowed. It's also being developed by Obsidian. It's kind of like Outer Worlds, except it's a fantasy RPG, and it's a little bit more serious than Outer Worlds is. Outer Worlds is decidedly satirical, and Avowed looks very much just like Skyrim, but was made in 2023, 24. And Avowed is going to be set in the Pillars of Eternity world, and I'm really excited. I've been watching this development of this game for a while. I'm a big fan of the Pillars of Eternity world, and I think that it's actually going to be even more impactful exploring it in first person, and more people will like, it's going to be kind of like D&D, where everyone's going to play Avowed, get really excited and into Avowed, and then they're all going to go back to play Pillars of Eternity and be like, this is a CRPG, which is a little bit different. So I'm excited for it, though I will not be buying it immediately. I really want to come see how the early reviews come in. It's not going to be a pass, because it's an Obsidian product, so it's inevitably going to be a buy for me, but I'm not pre-ordering it, and I'm not going to pre-order it so you get 5 extra days. I obviously have high expectations for it, so I want to bring those expectations down, let the reviews come in, hopefully see an overly positive spike, and then I'll pick it up.
The next game that I have down, I think, is also, to be fair, a game that Seth also really wants, and that's the new Mafia game, Mafia: The Old Country, being developed by Hangar 13. It's set in the 1900s in a fictional town, San Celeste in Sicily, and you follow Enzo Favara, who's an indentured servant who joins the Teresi crime family and essentially begins what becomes the Mafia. It is supposed to be about the early start of the Mafia and their kind of rise to power, I guess you could say. And it's just a gorgeous looking game. I mean, just from the screenshots and the trailers that have come out, it looks absolutely stunning. The set pieces of old, Sicily and stuff like that just are beautiful. The lighting is great. All the characters are so intricately designed. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this game comes out and what this game's like. And it'll be fun to play. It'll probably be a pickup for me. Maybe not. I don't think I'm going to pre-order any games, to be honest. So I'll probably be, a later pickup. But I definitely am looking forward to playing Mafia: The Old Country. I think Mafia is a very underrated but also amazing franchise.
Yeah, I think I'm hesitant for Mafia: The Old Country, mostly because of Mafia 3 was also developed by Hangar 13, and I didn't like it. So I'm going to also wait on that one for reviews to make sure that they have kind of gotten back to form, because my opinion is still Mafia 1 is the best Mafia game. Mafia 1 Remastered is still also very good, because it is the remastered version of the best Mafia game. So if you're looking for a really true Mafia experience and you've not played the Mafia series, I would recommend picking up the Mafia Remastered, except for the racing level. That racing level is horrible. And now another game that I'm interested in coming out, and Zach maybe as well, I don't know if he played the original, but Telltale is supposed to be releasing Wolf Among Us 2. It was supposed to come out in 2024, but now it's 2025, so that possibility is now gone. So maybe it will come out in 2025. It's going to be the sequel to Wolf Among Us, which was a game that is set in the Fables comic world, which is a world that I really enjoy and have read a majority of the comics. And I think playing as Bigby Wolf, who's the character you play as in both, hence the Wolf Among Us, is great, because Bigby Wolf is decidedly the best character in the world. So if you could play any character in Fables, Bigby Wolf is top tier, number one. It really Fables the comic. It is an ensemble cast, but Bigby Wolf is the primary character. So I'm really excited. If it does come out, I will probably buy it quickly. I think it would be one of my first Telltale games. Have they released anything since they came back and got better?
Oh, they did The Expanse.
That one came out in 23. So The Expanse is the first new Telltale game that I've played. I've played a little bit of it. I liked it a lot. That's another game that should be my New Year's resolution to beat, because I haven't beaten it, but I picked it up back in 23 and was playing on my Steam Deck.
For me, now that I have a PS5, I'm looking forward to some PS5 exclusives. One of those being Intergalactic: The Heretic Project, which is the new game from Naughty Dog. I love Naughty Dog games. Last of Us, Uncharted, very, very good. Intergalactic: The Heretic Project looks to be the same kind of quality you'd expect from a Naughty Dog game, but in space. The story, from what I can tell from what I've looked up, is about an alternate universe where space travel has been possible since 1986, intergalactic space travel. And you play as a bounty hunter who is sent to find a criminal syndicate, and you get stuck on a planet. The game looks heavily inspired by Cowboy Bebop, which is one of my all-time favorite anime, and it has this kind of, I call it a vaporwave futurism aesthetic. And what I mean by that is, like, there's a shot in the trailer where the person's on their spaceship and they're selecting music, and you see an arm go to a like carousel of CDs, and it plucks out a CD and puts it in the player, and it's like a CD jukebox on their spaceship, and like all of the televisions are CRTs, but they're like color CRTs from the 80s sort of deal. So it's got this kind of 1980s 1990s aesthetic that I think is really fun. The spaceship looks like straight out of Cowboy Bebop, and I'm just looking forward to it. I like Neil Druckmann, I like Naughty Dog. I think it looks like a great game, and I'm excited to pick it up, and it'll be fun to play on my PS5 and brag about it, as Seth has to wait like a year or two until it comes to PC.
That's fine. There's apparently a lot of games that I have to be playing in 25. So another game that I'm looking forward to coming out is by Warhorse Studios. It's Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. It's a story-driven action RPG with a very rich open world set in 15th century medieval Europe, where you get to continue the adventures of young Henry, who is the blacksmith's son. And you go to a city in this. I watched the developer get interviewed and show off some of the game, and it's in the city, and apparently there's things where like buildings can collapse and you can go into where the buildings were collapsed, but if you don't go into them right away and you wait around, people will rebuild it, kind of like details. And it's just a really cool, it's like the city environment is like is going to be very interesting to see Warhorse do it, because Warhorse is very detail oriented, and it looks like there's going to be stuff where, like, if there's crimes that are going to happen, even if they happen outside the city, they'll still be brought back to the city to face the gallows and stuff like that. I'm looking forward to see what they do with it. I have been enjoying playing Kingdom Come Deliverance and have been going through it, and I'm looking to see what they do with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, but will also kind of in the same vein as my Agatha Christie's. Maybe I should put this higher up on the list, but I really want to at least beat it before getting Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
Now, the next game that I put on my list is Doom: The Dark Ages. It's a prequel to Doom 2016. It is set during the period of time when Doomslayer is working as a soldier for Argent Dunur, which you might remember when we did our Doom lore episode. But Doom: The Dark Ages it just looks like it's more Doom, to be honest. I love the 2016 and Doom Eternal Doom games. I like what id Software has been doing with the franchise. And this is kind of looks like they're taking a look into the past with the lore that they've developed and exploring the Doomslayer as a character. Not that there's too much to go off of the silent protagonist, but we'll definitely see him rip and tear. Using one of the new weapons in the game, which they've shown in the trailers, which is a shield that has blades on the end that spins, and it looks like death, and you can use the shield to shove things or cut things in half, and that's Doom for you. And I love Doom, so I'm very much looking forward to Doom: The Dark Ages.
My final game, and maybe I'm not sure a game that Zach would be interested in, but definitely a game that I'm interested in is being done by Clifftop Games, and it's Kathy Rain 2, The Soothsayer. It's the sequel to Kathy Rain, which is a point-and-click urban thriller type game where you play as a private eye Kathy Rain, and she goes on cases and tries to solve murders or mysteries, and by finding clues and connecting dots and doing all that stuff. I really liked Kathy Rain. I bought it, played it, beat it, and I think it's about a 12-hour playthrough, and I beat it back in 2016 when the original game came out. Clifftop Games also did Whispers of the Machine, which they released in 2019, which was a sci-fi Nordic noir game, which I also bought and beat very quickly as well. So that's it. That's the only games that they've made. Kathy Rain and Whispers of the Machine. Both of them I beat within 22 hours, so less time than beating Crime Scene Cleaner I spent on beating those two games. I beat them equally as fast. Really, really like them. It's a good story. Both of them have good stories. With Kathy Rain 2, The Soothsayer, coming out, I'm excited. Not only am I excited to play the sequel, but I'll probably pick up the director's cut of Kathy Rain, the original, which you can get for like a big discount off if you own the original game. So then I can replay it before playing the second one, since it's been almost 9 years since I've beat beat the first one. So like I'll play through the original one, enjoy it, and then get the director's cut, play through the original one, and then buy the second one. So it's gonna be a wait until I beat the first one again, but that's gonna be added on to my 25 list of games to beat and play that I'm gonna work my way down through this nice little list.
Great. Sounds good. Well, my last game on my list for my buy weight pass is Judas, developed by Ghost Story Games. It's Ken Levine's new game, which I had heard about and then I forgot about, and then I saw it again and I was like, oh yeah, I really want to play this. Judas takes place on a ship called the Mayflower, which is carrying the last bits of humanity to Proxima Centauri. And there are robots and the assorted Ken Levine shenanigans. Because it is a Ken Levine game, you can expect that you can shoot things and also do stuff with your hands. And sure enough, from the trailer, you can like shoot fire out of your hands and all the other stuff you'd expect from a very Bioshock looking game. Whether or not the story falls in line with his Bioshock mythos, as you would, there's always a man, there's always a lighthouse, there's always a city sort of aesthetic. I don't know, but it does look like it has a lot of elements of Bioshock that I love. And I think Ken Levine is usually able to tell a very good story, and I've always liked his games, so I'm looking forward to playing Judas when it does eventually come out.
I'm looking at the screenshots. These robots are wild. This game reminds me of if you played Starship Titanic with a gun.
Yeah, it looks 100% like playing Starship Titanic with a gun.
To be honest, if it is playing Starship Titanic with a gun, that's going to be a good game.
100% will be, yes. Well, that will do it for my list of games that I am looking to either buy, wait, or pass on. Most of them are probably buy with a couple of waits, but we're now going to get into our retro rewind. But before we do, happy 2025, everyone. I'm excited to hear what you, the listener, have to say. We're looking forward to continuing the Classic Gaming Brothers well into the future.
Last episode ever released.
Yeah, didn't delete it. To get into our retro rewind, Seth had me play Crusader No Remorse, developed by Origin Systems and published by EA back in 1995. It's an action game where you play as a person known as the Silencer, who is a man who wears a red suit, kind of looks like a stormtrooper, and carries a pistol. You walk into a building and a man says, "Don't shoot," and then you can just go like wild. You can shoot everyone and anything. It is you play as this guy who's just shooting everyone and taking no guff. It's a very over the top down perspective shooter, has FMV sequences, lots of explosions, and some wonky controls. I did find the game to be fun, but if you do play it in DOSBox, you might need to adjust your settings to get the controls to work right. I did have a little issues. There's some mouse control, and with DOSBox, sometimes the aspect ratio changes can mess up your mouse control. Overall, though, it's fun and it does seem to be readily available. I actually have a copy of the game that I got free from Origins, back when Origins was a thing, and I was just having trouble logging into my EA account to play it, so I had to play a DOSBox version. But you can pick it up on GOG for like $6. It does seem to go on sale pretty frequently, and when it goes on sale, it's usually at a pretty steep discount. It was on sale recently, as of the recording of this episode, for like $1.50. So it is a game that is very easy to pick up and find, and it's pretty fun. I mean, it's a 1995 shooter from EA. What more can you want? Next week, Seth, you can play Top Gear for the Super Nintendo.
Thanks. Zach had me play Deadly Towers, which was developed by Lennar and Tamtec and published by Irem in Japan and Broderbund in North America, and released in 1986 in Japan and 1987 in North America. Deadly Towers is a action role-playing game where he plays a character by the name of Prince Meyer. It's a non-linear style action game where you can just go wherever you want. However, I felt like Zelda had a better script to it. Prince Meyer can also throw his sword, like Link can. Though it's kind of, it's tough. So I didn't hate it. I thought that the gameplay was fine. You walk around and you shoot your sword and you hit the enemies and the enemies die and you pick up either clocks or hearts. Unsure what the clocks do, but the hearts kind of restore your life. And then I just got lost in a dungeon is really what happens. Just wandering around, going into room after room, fighting various different enemies. I'm not even sure if one was a boss. So I was fighting these little black balls that were jumping, and then I fought one that was like a human centipede of black balls, and I was like, is this a boss? And then I killed it, and then there was things floating in the air, and I didn't know how to get to certain items that were in the air. Apparently the dungeon maze has 167 screens, which is immense. I think Deadly Towers is a game that maybe we should talk about maybe sometime in the year, but it was tough. It was confusing, was probably the biggest portion of the problem of the game, was confusing. I didn't really know what to do with it, and it did receive relatively decent reviews during its time because it was so novel. In a retrospective review of it, it's just kind of confusing and tough, which wasn't really fun at all. I would say if you want like a non-linear adventure game for the NES, play Zelda.
Fair enough.
So there's that. Next week, Zach, you could play Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 for the Game Boy Advance. But that's gonna be it.
Happy New Year. And with that, if you have any New Year's thoughts or thoughts about our show from 2024, send us an email to classicgamingbrothers@gmail.com. You can find us on all the various social media applications out there. Look for us, as either Classic Gaming Brothers or CG Brothers Pod. I like to say if you can't find us as one, look for us as the other. We're available on iHeartRadio and Podbean and iTunes and all those places. We're also available on our website, www.classicgamingbrothers.com. Be sure to check out our store, buy some merch, and of course, you can always listen to our show in the Classic Gaming Lounge. We're looking forward to 2025. I think we have a good year coming up. We should have some fun things to do and to talk about, and without promising anything, I'm sure 2025 will be a lot of episodes like in 2024. Anyway, Seth, do you have any thoughts?
Don't play games like my brother.
And don't play games like my brother.
I've been Seth.
And I've been Zach.
And we've been the Classic Gaming Brothers.
That's
right.